Anyway, yes. Hi.
So you're a musician, you're a songwriter, and you do a few other things. And so I'm just wondering about that experience for you. So you have to like think about the notes, so it's kind of technical, but then you're also kind of feeling these things and you're trying to put it to paper. I'm just thinking about like when you're working, are there kind of, how do you create? So if you're writing a piece, how do you usually go about writing that piece?
There's so many ways to go about it. Sometimes it's very spontaneous. So I would wake up in the middle of the night and a tune would come to me in sleep, and I would quickly write it down or sing it to my iPhone and record it, and then I would develop from what I recorded and then kind of build a sound around it. This is really brief. And then secondly, it may be quite inorganic, and I would have to borrow material from what I've been reading or listening to. So I would hear something from a piece that I really like. So it could be something as vague as a chord taken from a piece, and then build it with other chords that I've picked up, and then build a tune on top of it. Or it could be more, how would I say, more like a blueprint where I know the structure of how a piece should go. So I might want to have a shorter and then a longer and then a shorter piece. So 3 sections, and then I would just think of concepts to start with. You know, why am I writing this piece? What is the goal? What is the what do I want to achieve in this piece? And if I go around that gives me some kind of framework to start with, because it's like architecture. It's so vague. You know, you have a blank canvas. Where do you begin? And it's so important to just get the tiniest thing that you can hold on to, and then build on top of that. And I would say it's challenging, because sometimes you hit a wall and you don't know where to go, and it can take up to months just to continue a piece, and sometimes a piece can last for a year, and I might put it on hold and not come back to it until later. But sometimes it's so fast, it could happen in 3 weeks or a few days, and so it's so unpredictable with the creative process. There's no way to control it or put a deadline on it. So that's kind of how it goes.
So you're kind of talking about these different ways that you create, and how do you use, like, maybe a personal question, but how do you use your emotions, your feelings when you're creating? Do you kind of use that and harness that to write, or do you kind of like, oh, that's not appropriate for this song, or how do you engage with your emotions?
Emotions is so key with music, because it's so emotional. I know it sounds really obvious, but even when we were listening to some of the songs, you know, I was either restraining myself from dancing or you know, just feeling meditative, and it has such an immediate effect on the body or on the mind, that I think as a composer you can't escape that element. And so I remember writing a piece. I was in the turmoil emotionally, and I think I wrote that piece in 3 or 4 days, because I was just so angsty and like, get it out of me. So it actually helped me channel a lot of my emotions out. And funnily, the piece, it was written for a quartet. It didn't sound anything like that, but I suppose to me it meant something else, and often how it sounds to the audience is so different, and you can never guess what the composer is saying unless they tell you. But again, that's a really personal thing, and I think we like to keep it as a mystery sometimes, you know. So
Okay. Do you ever kind of want to, in your music, like communicate a message, or do you you're talking about the kind of ambiguity and the shroudedness? Do you want it to kind of you want people to be left kind of creating? What is your kind of thought on that?
I hear you. Sometimes I can be explicit with the message I want to convey, and often it's in my songs that are more overt with what I want to say, and I'm going to be singing 2 songs later, and I think it depends whether I want to share this as a corporate thing. You know, this is what I want to share with you, and I want you to be nourished from this song, or, you know, receive something, and therefore I would be more overt with how I want the piece to be. But sometimes it can be quite shrouded with, you know, hidden meanings and more imagery rather than you know, overt words. So it really depends what the song is catering for. You know, the yeah. I hope that's clear.
Yeah, that's great. And kind of one last question. So, like, as a musician, you're engaging with your body, so you're making sound, you're using your fingers. Do you ever feel like, I don't know, that your body is this kind of, this limit, or that you kind of have this, it's an extension of you, it's you, I don't know how to explain it, but like for, like, when you're performing, do you feel like you're able to really have the music inside of you and let it go through your body, or do you feel like there's a kind of, I don't know.
I see. It's different for different instruments. So for example, with cello, it's very tactile because you're hugging the instrument, and it's, with the piano it's different. How I use my arms on the cello is different from how my arm's going to impact the piano. And what I found is that when I it's a really hard question because you don't think like that in words. You just do, and it happens. But I definitely allow my emotions to affect my physical movements according to the song, or personally what I want to emphasize, and I think it makes such a difference for the audience when they're looking at the performer, how they're engaged with the piece physically, because it draws out an aspect of the music that another performer wouldn't, and it's a very unique way of expression, and I think it shows the quality and the personality of the player in a very beautiful way, and it's much more enjoyable to move with the music, whatever that means, without thinking too much about it, because you just want the music to carry you. And I think that's what music does. It's depending on what you're listening to, it can be quite fluid and comforting, and it's a different language, and you're just thinking in that language without thinking much.
Thank you. So where can we find more about you, Joanne? If we wanted to follow what you're doing.
So I have some music on SoundCloud, and I also have a website that's under construction. So if I can find a web designer, then you'll be able to find it. What else do I have? Oh, I have a Facebook page, and I need to be more proactive with social media because I'm really, really, really not up to date with it. But SoundCloud is has most of my music, and actually I did for I think 200 days out of 1 year, I signed myself up for this challenge to record a piece of improvised music on whatever instrument that I can pretend to play on, and
it's incredible. It's improvised. It's incredible.
It's really fun. I think one day I got so bored I started reading into the mic, and I was like, that counts because this is experimental music. So they will get it, you know. And that was really fun because I had to overcome a lot of the barriers a creative might have, you know, imperfection and not being in control, and posting things online is so vulnerable because people judge, people make comments, and people don't know you personally, and it's quite dangerous. But at the same time, I found from what I heard from others is it was really freeing for them to then explore that area in their own music and not be afraid of showing people their process. And I think as a musician, we hide behind closed doors, do warm-ups, you know, hoping our neighbors don't come and knock on the door. And I'm sure with you guys, it's very unusual to show people, hey, come to my practice at 3 to 4, it's going to be great. And it's just not fun for the other person. But I think it's important to show people that we're not perfect all the time and we will make mistakes, and you put the pressure off of yourself and yeah, just share it and show people that it's going to be okay, and we should embrace process as much as the performance. Yeah.
Thank you.